What up, reader fam? It's time to get shady! I'm bringing shady back. Yeah. Today I am bringing you my yearly controversial video where I talk about my least favorite books of the year. I thankfully enjoyed a majority of the books that I read this year, and I will have a favorite books of 2017 video going up here pretty soon. But even though I had an amazing reading year, I still had some books that disappointed me. I am going to smack a little disclaimer at the beginning of this video, and to those of you who gripe at disclaimers at the beginning of videos, try posting shady videos like this and getting hate comments. It's not a fun time. So that's why I've got to disclaimer it up in here, my friends, my pals, my peers. So if you're watching this video and your favorite book pops up on the screen, I know it's instinct to slam your hand on your heart because it feels like I've just crushed it, but I want you to instead just take a deep breath and recognize the fact that this is not a personal attack on you. You're allowed to like books that I don't like, just like I'm allowed to like books that you don't like. It's a win-win situation here, friends. Thanks for sitting through that little disclaimer, my pals. Now it's time to get shady. The first book on my list is Summerland by Michael Chabon. I was really excited about this book because I found this book in the adult section at Barnes & Noble and I was like, look at me go, I'm moving up in the world, stepping out of the YA bubble and into the adult world. And I was also low-key excited to read this book so that I could prove to all you commenters out there that say, Jesse only reads YA, that I read more than just YA, I read adult. But then I started reading this here book and I quickly realized that this is not an adult book. This is a middle grade story. I believe it was in the adult section because Mr. Michael Chabon mostly writes adult books, so they kind of just grouped this book together with his adult books. So it was just chilling in that section for that reason. But because of that, I had expectations going into this book that it was going to be kind of more of an adult book, and so that completely threw me off and made me not enjoy this book as much as I was hoping to, which is really dumb. I know, I should probably start going into books without expectations, but that's a really hard thing to do. But I was also really excited for this book because the concept of the story is so weird, and I live for weird books. Weird is where it's at, my peeps. This book pairs the real world with a focus on American baseball and a fairy world. It mixes and matches the two together, but I ended up not liking the way it was executed, unfortunately, because it felt like with the magical aspect of this book that anything could happen, and I'm personally someone who kind of likes some kind of limits when it comes to fantastical elements, but this book was like, nah, I do what I want when I want. And ya boy the reader just wasn't about that life. But to throw in a positive, because I'm all about that positivity up in here on this channel, I will say that I loved the writing style. It was poetic and whimsical and flowery and over the top, just the way I like it. I'm sure some of you guys just heard that description of the writing style and you wanted to bomb, because you hate that kind of writing style, but I can't relate. Next up I have the graphic novel Lost at Sea by Brian Lee O'Malley. That kinda rhymed a little bit. I was so stoked for this book because I love Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley. I still have yet to read the Scott Pilgrim series, I know. How could I not read that series yet? It'll happen one of these days, guys, I promise. Anyways, I love Seconds. It's like one of my all-time favorite graphic novels. But then I read this book and I was like, what the heck, bro? Why you gotta let me down like this? This story is essentially about this girl who is trying to find herself, and my main complaint with this is that it felt like the story just wasn't fleshed out enough. I feel like I would have cared more for the main character had I known her better, but I didn't know her enough to care about her situation throughout the story. There was just a major disconnect happening between me and the characters, and I really wanted more from the plot as well. It kind of felt like nothing happened, but at the same time, like, I understand what Brian Lee O'Malley was trying to do with this story, but I think in general this is just a story that I wanted more from. Give me more. I will cut him some slack though, because this is his first published graphic novel, and it is clear to me that he has grown as an author and an artist, so I'm gonna cut you some slack, homeboy. Next up on my list is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. This is the one that I'm most afraid that people are going to hate on me for, because this is a very well-loved book, but listen up, I respect this author. I read this and I was in awe of how willing this author was to just like bear it all for her work. Like, it truly impressed me what she was willing to share in this collection, and I also recognize the fact that so many readers out there found healing through this book, which I think is so incredible. The power of words, my friends. But for me personally, I just didn't enjoy the writing style. There were a few poems that I did love because I tabbed a few of them, so look at that. But for the most part, the poems just didn't do that much for me, and maybe it's just because I couldn't connect with the subject matter. I find it very difficult to critique poetry, because to me, poetry feels like I'm reading somebody's journal. Like, I'm not about to critique someone's journal. Wow, Janet, I really didn't need to know about your crush on Jimmy Jacobson. Like, that's just really hurtful. So I feel like for the most part, this book just wasn't for me, and that's okay. I respect the work of art, but it wasn't for me. Don't worry, boo, it's me, not you. Next on my list is I Work at a Public Library. This is a collection of tiny little stories of things that have happened in a library, and I was really disappointed by this one, unfortunately, and it made me sad because I honestly thought that I was going to be falling on the floor laughing over this one, but then I read it and I just wanted it to be a lot more funny than it was. I feel like a lot of the stories could have been a lot more detailed in how they were told, and instead of having all these short little tidbits throughout the book, focus on more of the bigger stories and flesh them out a lot more. But overall, it just wasn't my kind of humor, and I just didn't end up enjoying it. Hashtag sad face. The last book on my list is one that I actually ended up DNFing, which I wasn't sure if I was going to add it onto this list, but I really didn't like it, so I'm gonna throw it on this list anyways. And that is Wherever You Go, There They Are. I actually don't have a physical copy of this book because I listened to it on audiobook. This is another one where I went into it thinking it was going to be hilarious because that's what I was sold on. One of the blurbs on the book literally starts out like, a hysterically funny, listen, I'm gonna let you finish, but that's a lie. Actually, I'm not gonna let you finish, so I'm the liar now. This book is a collection of like short stories and essays on this girl's family. So again, this is a very personal book and I don't know how to critique it because I don't want to hurt any feelings. Like, what if the author sees this video? And the thing is, the story does start out funny. Like the first chapter, I want to say, I was laughing, but then the story shifts and it starts to just like dive deep into her family history, which sure, it's very interesting, but personally going into this book and not realizing that I was going to just be getting her family history, I really wasn't that interested in learning about it. I didn't pick this book up because I wanted a history lesson. I picked it up because I wanted some humor in my life, and it didn't end up delivering that, so I ended up DNFing this book, unfortunately. So those are 5 of my least favorite books from the year of 2017. If you want to see my video that I did on this last year, I will leave it right here. Go and check that out. Also, be sure to let me know down below in the comments some of your least favorite books from the year of 2017. If you like this shady video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I post videos frequently on this channel, so if you want to be notified as to when I post new videos, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and click the little bell icon and you'll be notified as to when I post new videos. As always, thanks for watching guys, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, choo.